Hey guys, welcome back to the interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we are back with the Tristana updated complete guide for patch 4.2a onwards. And of course, as usual, I'm going to refer you guys to the basic guide we released yesterday for her skills, living order tips and tricks, as well as combos that are put up in the cards above. Okay, so jumping straight into the loadout, the items first. So the first two items, little surprise here, we have the new meta combo of shield bow plus PD. So of course both of these items did get nerfed in patch 4.2a, but still even so they are still amazing items. Particularly PD, the nerf was very slight, 100 gold increase, 5% less attack speed. Now of course shield bow kind of did get a bigger nerf, even though it didn't get the gold increase. It did get a lot less shielding and less physical vamp, so hitting survivability of shield bow, which is the main reason why it's good. Anyways, so shield bow did get nerfed, but still, you go for the shield bow for, of course, your survivability, as well as, of course, all of your nice base stats, your AD, your crit, your attack speed, your physical vamp, all the good stuff. And then, of course, you go for PD for that attack speed, crit, and of course the additional movement speed from Spectral Waltz. So standard combo. Of course, PD giving you the attack speed and allowing you to kite a lot more easily. Then we go for boots. Generally, I like to go for defensive boots, or even Gluttonous Greaves could work really well in this situation. Generally, stasis, because when you jump in, you a lot of times need to stasis if you find yourself in a bad position. Sometimes you jump in, blow up one target, and you have to hit stasis so you don't get blown up yourself. Then, I like to go for Navori Quick Blades, and the reason why I like to do that is at first I went for like PD into, not PD, I went for Shield Bow into Navori, I tried Shield Bow into Phantom Dancer, and just not having Navori feels really bad, because the Navori actually helps you get your E and your Q cooldown up so much faster, and it increases your damage tremendously. So I really like Navori, and I thought that Phantom Dancer was still way better as a second item compared to like a third item, so I bumped Navori over to the third item slot. So most of the time, when you reach this point, you can have your Q on permanently up because you have 75% crit already, and Navori is going to lower the Q cooldown such that it's up all the time, and also your E is going to be up a lot of the time. So of course we still need space for IE over here, so we're going to actually go for Maul Reminder instead of LDR. So Maul Reminder of course gives you armor pen as well as grievous wounds and a little bit of AD. And now the very common trend that's really happening a lot more often in this current patches is IE is getting pushed to like last item or not being in builds at all. There are like a lot of Xayah and Lucian builds that don't build IE at all, even Tristana as well. But personally, I do believe IE is an item that you need, and it's a very strong item, because any item that gives you this kind of big boost in damage, to me, is going to be a lot more useful than an item that gives you utility, because utility is good, but damage is good as well. So it kind of really depends on your playstyle and what you think. And for me, I think that IE is still good, but you can see that I delayed IE all the way to the last item. So, I do think that these other items are kind of really important as well. So, of course, IE, to top it off, puts you to 100% crit, gives you that AD, as well as, of course, boosting your crit damage. Now, for the runes, I actually, instead of going for a Lethal Tempo, I've actually gone for like Conqueror, or you can go for Kraken Slayer as well. Reason why I go for Conqueror, aside from it obviously giving AD and Omnivamp, is because we already have enough attack speed from Phantom Dancer as well as Quick Blades. Now, Phantom Dancer gives a total of 55% attack speed, and Quick Blades makes it such that your Q is permanently up. So with those two attack speed steroids, you don't really need more attack speed from Lethal Tempo. It's a little bit overkill. So I decided instead to go for Conqueror, and then of course Hunter Vampirism for the physical vamp, and of course Bone Plating for the anti burst, and of course you can go for Perseverance if the match calls for it, and Nimbus Cloak of course for the movement speed when you cast a spell. And for the spells, it's of course going to be Exhaust as well as Flash. You could really go for Ghost as well if you prefer, but in Tristana I like taking Flash and Exhaust. So all that out of the way, let's jump into talking about our gameplay. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into talking about the gameplay itself. Now, as usual, of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be sure to address them. So now, at the start of like every gameplay, this is what I always talk about. Does Tristana like to play with Engagers or, Enchanters? Well, the answer is generally Engagers, but Enchanters work fine as well. Like Nautilus, Leona, Alistar, great for Tristana, because in lane it's really easy for them to engage, and you can jump in with them with your bomb and get an all in, and that's a lot of times how you get fed in laning phase. However, this is of course not a requirement, and Tristana still does amazing with enchanters. Like for example, if you have like a Lulu, Nami, Janna, Soraka, whatnot. As I mentioned, Tristana does scale into a late game hyper carry, so of course you're not going to have as strong of an early game. However, when you reach the later stages of the game, you are still going to be a monster with an enchanter buffing you up, which you of course don't get when you have an engager. So really pros and cons on both sides. But honestly, personally, I enjoy playing Tristana more when I have an engager, because I like jumping in early and getting a hit. So something like this, you can see Leona kind of semi-engaged there. I put the bomb on Alistar, but I'm focusing Corki instead. Then I focus Alistar. Now, honestly, we're not going to get a kill there. However, we still can chunk out the enemies and, of course, get some kind of lane advantage, which is exactly what we are doing here. And yeah, so Tristana, a lot of times when you jump in level 2, level 3, especially if the enemy is out of position, it's really easy to actually get a kill in that instance. However, it's not going to happen every time. Of course, it's not a requirement. You don't have to do it. Remember that you're not like a Draven. You don't have to kill people in lane. If you scale into late game, it's fine as well. You're still going to be really good. In fact, Tristana, she scales extremely well. Like, there's many games that I've gone down like 0-3 and 0-4 in the earlier stages of the game, but eventually I still get to a point where I'm really strong in the late game and come back. So here Alistar oversteps his boundaries and kind of just gets caught out really. So Leona combos him, and I'm able to put the bomb and full charge on him, and as a result I'm able to score a free kill onto the Alistar. So as a result I'm able to back and pick up, start getting some components of my Immortal Shield Bow. So Tristana, one of the main things you want to look out for is the same as, like, for example, when you're playing like any kind of champion that jumps in like Kai'Sa and Samira, which is really just enemy CC. So in this team you can see that my main threat is going to really be a Pantheon, because I expect Pantheon to of course stun me and point and click, really simple to hit. Alistar is probably the next big threat, and then of course the rest of the enemy team is not too bad. So really I have to look out mainly for Alistar and Pantheon and be extremely aware of when they have and don't have their CC, so I can know when I'm actually able to jump in and whatnot. So here we're back in the lane. Obviously we have a lane advantage. Alistar here knocks me up. Really nice ulti by the Leona, and we're able to score a kill onto Alistar. Pantheon ults in, again stunned by the Leona. I exhaust the Pantheon, and I'm able to actually jump away off of that reset from the kill on Alistar, and Yasuo actually also comes up to join the party. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade overall, although we did manage to pull 2 people to our lane, get the Pantheon ult, etc. Of course, Pantheon is a really difficult champion to play against as any ADC, because the moment you overstep too far, you can find a Pantheon ulting behind you and you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that's never really a situation you want to find yourself in. But kind of what you still want to do is play aggressive as Tristana. Like, the only thing is that you have to look out for that Pantheon gank or that Pantheon ult. But just having a Pantheon on the enemy team or like a Rammus on the enemy team shouldn't stop you from executing your game plan. If not, the enemy pick is gonna have way too much value than what it should have. So yeah, here we cleared out the wave. We're still doing fine, and we're gonna just back and pick up more items, get the Immortal Shield Bow, and we can hit back out into our lane. So as I mentioned in my basic guide, Tristana does have a mid-game power trough, same as champions like Caitlyn, for example. And the main reason why there's why there's this weird kind of power curve for these champions, like there's a mid-game power trough, and why they're strong early and late, is simply because when they're on the same amount of items as other ADCs, they're not as strong. So for example, if I have like a 2-item Tristana versus a 2-item Kai'Sa, the 2-item Kai'Sa is going to be way stronger than the 2-item Tristana. It's the same reason as why Draven gets outscaled in the late game. Like a 4 crit item Draven versus like a 4 crit item Tristana. Draven's going to get outscaled by Tristana, because Tristana with the same items does more damage, etc. It's kind of the same logic when you get to that. So the only way you can avert this mid-game power trough is to get fed. Because for example, if you're on 3 items and the enemy is on 2 items, you know, you're not gonna really see that mid-game power trough because there, you know, there isn't really one to begin with. Here Corki comes in with the package and cuts off our escape. Here I exhaust the Corki and I'm trying to blast him down. Same goes for the Alistar. I managed to get both of them pretty low. And I put the bomb on Alistar, the bomb explodes, neither of them die. The one who ends up dying is actually Leona, and now I'm kind of stuck in trouble. I'm going to have to hop the wall using my W and jump straight on out. So kind of doesn't really go as planned there. No one really died. Now, arguably, I kind of made a mistake there. I probably should have put the bomb on Corki and maybe tried to kill him instead of the Alistar, who was a lot more tanky than what I anticipated. So probably that was not the right move. And as a result, you know, our support ends up dying for it, so that's no good. And here, we're just gonna go back to general ADC business. Both ADCs just farming up minions. And yeah, so of course Herald and Dragon have both spawned. We have the Dragon warded. We have the vision of the Sculler on the Herald, although it just expired. We can see Pantheon and Yasuo going down towards the Herald, so we can assume that they're going for Herald. So we decide to handshake and trade objectives. So here they went for the Herald. We are going for the Dragon. Plopping down the control ward to remove the enemy vision. More enemy vision into the pit. Not a really big deal. We're just going to secure the Dragon. Leona actually goes over and engages onto Corki, but Alistar hits but her back out to safety, which I actually think was a benefit to the Leona. So as a result, you know, we're able to secure the Dragon for free. They get the Herald for free, which, you know, depends on the way you see it. One is arguably better than the other. Personally, I think first Herald is stronger than first Dragon, but getting first Dragon opens you up for getting that 3 Dragon win condition, so both are good in different ways. But Herald has a more immediate, you know, benefit. So anyways, here, we're back to lane. Enemy has pushed the wave in, but thankfully we're able to actually catch majority of the wave, dodging the big one from Corki there. Leona gets hit but away by the Alistar, which basically means Alistar doesn't have his combo anymore. So here we're taking advantage of that and being a little bit more aggressive. For some reason, Yasuo is fighting Ezreal inside our jungle between towers. Lots of shenanigans going on here. So here, we end up in a kind of a all-in fight again. Now here, me and Corki end up kind of jumping at the same time. Here I'm trying to kill the Corki, but because he runs into the bush for that 1 second, ends up surviving. Alistar charges up his stun. I end up getting stunned and I do end up dying. Obviously, completely not the way that I expected it to go, and completely not the way we wanted it to go. On a side note, we have a triple ADC team comp, which is something that I see way too often, you know, in solo queue. Like, we have like Caitlyn in the top lane and Ezreal in the mid lane. Of course, I'm playing ADC, so I'm playing Tristana. But yeah, there's way too many, like, you know, multi-ADC team comps. The worst I've seen so far is 4 ADCs in one team. Like, I had like a Lux, and then I was playing like Jinx, and then there was like an ADC in the jungle, in the mid lane, and in the top lane. Like, imagine if that Lux was like a Senna or something. I would completely lose my mind. Not that I didn't already when I saw that, and obviously we lost that match. Obviously, even though ADCs are kind of strong, kind of OP at the moment, honestly I would argue that they aren't OP, but then again, I main ADC, so maybe I'm seeing things only from my perspective. But even no matter how strong they are, I think that having too many ADCs in one team is definitely a bad thing. There's only so many resources on the map to share, and also you need some frontline for ADCs to actually free hit onto the enemy team. And having like all ADCs means one of the ADCs is gonna get focused instead of like a tank, for example. At least in this match, the 2 members who are not ADCs are both frontliners. Like, it's an Olaf and it's a Leona. Like, imagine if we had like a mage, you know, instead. Like, imagine 3 ADCs plus an Orianna or something like that. That would be horrible. So here the fight goes sideways again. The enemy team is relatively fed. And here I'm going to have to run. Now somehow I actually end up escaping and walking faster than the Alistar. I don't really know how, because Alistar has like redemption. So that's like max tier boots. I have tier 1 boots. So we should be running at roughly the same speed. I'm guessing that Alistar's base movement speed must be really low. But if you take a look at the situation at the current moment. Yasuo's 3-2. Corki 4-0. Fiora 5-0, and Alistar and 2-2, and Pantheon 3-1. Whereas on my team, Ezreal is kind of feeding, Leona's not doing too hot, Olaf is kind of feeding as well, and Caitlyn is hardcore feeding. Anyway, speaking of Pantheon, here we managed to actually rotate over due to his greed, and we're able to get a free kill in on him. Here Olaf goes in on them with his ulti. Leona manages to hit the ulti as well. We're able to secure the kill onto the Yasuo, and Corki actually dies to the Caitlyn and gives the huge shutdown to Caitlyn, unfortunately. But you know, eventually Caitlyn does end up actually getting back into the game, I assume as a result of the shutdown, so it didn't end up being too bad. So here, as I mentioned, using the bomb on the tower, really fast way to pick up a tower. In the meantime, we can see that Fiora is actually split pushing, but of course 4 people push faster than 1, so we're going to quickly get this tower before the enemy team respawns, of course with the help of Tristana's bomb. This happens really quickly, so we are able to quickly push out the tower, and we're going to quickly get ourselves a reset as well, and see if we can pick up the Phantom Dancer. Should be a guarantee. Yep, there we go, Phantom Dancer, as well as plate steel caps, and we're also going to toss in a additional longsword. Okay, so now the next dragon is alive, so obviously this means we have to, it's optimally we want to contest the dragon. Enemy team is already kind of inside, so they do manage to secure it. Now we're kind of gonna see if we can play for a fight. Unfortunately, our team is kind of split up, but we do end up actually getting a relatively good fight here. Here I'm trying to chase down Pantheon. Pantheon is kind of running all over the place. I'm still trying to chase him down. Olaf ends up getting basically all the kills here, which, you know, I guess is fine. So here, it's kind of a comeback, kind of coming back into the game for us. We score a huge fight initially, and we score another huge fight at the Dragon Pit, and now the goal is kind of swinging back to being even. Now we're only like 1k goal behind the enemy team. Now here, of course, we're just going to shove out the and secure the minions. And yeah, so now Baron is up, and now because of how squishy Baron is, whenever Baron is up, it's always something to take note of, because if you, like, for example, if the ADC and jungle shows on the opposite side of the map, the enemy team can easily quickly start up the Baron and just quickly secure it before anyone has time to react. So here, once again, using the bomb, I'm able to secure the tower. Pantheon ults in, but he's stuck in a 1v3. Fiora comes in to back him up. Now here, we are in a 3v2. I'm of course trying to blast down Fiora and Pantheon. I end up getting the kill on Pantheon. Fiora is pretty much dead to rights, so I'm gonna go ahead and chase the Corki while my team secures Fiora. Caitlyn does indeed secure the kill onto Fiora, gets the shutdown as well. And Corki does end up surviving because he can Valkyrie out. Here Caitlyn manages to blast him twice, and with the help of her ulti, she is able to secure the kill onto Corki. Speaking of Caitlyn, I'm going to be making a Caitlyn basic guide and updated complete guide really soon. Already got the gameplay for it, and just going to have to record the video. So here we secure ourselves the Navori Quick Blades as our third item, yet to complete our Stasis enchant. Because when it comes to Tristana, I think getting her 3-item crit is a lot stronger, because obviously getting Navori Quick Blades is a huge pickup, just because of how much of cooldowns it gives you. And yeah, it's just pretty huge. So here we're just going to farm from the jungle, picking up the Rit buff as well. And with the Phantom Dancer as well as the attack speed from Q, you know, you farm really fast. Now, I didn't really mention this, but in this match I actually took Lethal Tempo instead of Conqueror, because initially I thought Lethal Tempo was still a requirement, but only later on I realized that Lethal Tempo actually really isn't all that good when you have so much attack speed already. It's kind of a waste, actually, so I end up changing my runes to Conqueror later on. And same goes for a lot of other champions. I end up taking Conqueror instead of Lethal Tempo because of how much attack speed Phantom Dancer gives. So I ended up not really going for that for quite a lot of champions, actually. So here Pantheon tries to come in from the side. Here you see we managed to do the combo where we push the bomb into the enemy team. But no one really ends up dying here. Now here I'm kind of just... I know I'm really strong because I'm on my 3-item powers, but I'm trying to go in and kill people. Managed to get the kill on the Yasuo. I get really eager to jump over and kill. Unfortunately, Pantheon's stun actually comes back up, and he actually stuns me between 2 towers, and I do end up dying. So a little bit over eager from me there, but honestly I thought that Pantheon wouldn't have stun, and I think if he didn't have stun, I actually think that I kill both of them and I get out. But you know, what happened has happened, and yeah, so I guess that was a mistake on my part for not taking into account Pantheon's stun. So in the meanwhile, our team is of course stealing from the enemy jungle, which is what they should be doing. The next dragon is about to come up. Of course, the enemy team did secure that 1 dragon, so we don't really have that 3 dragon win condition, but of course it's still an objective to be contested over. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. Unfortunately, though, Olaf is kind of heading to the wrong side of the map. It's really important, especially as the jungle, that in the current patch, that when the objective is spawning, you need to be on the correct side of the map, because objectives can now be rushed. So for example, if Olaf doesn't start moving towards the dragon and the dragon spawns when he's like walking and on the way, the enemy team can actually burst down the dragon before he even reaches the pit, simply because of how squishy the dragon is now. Now me and Leona are trying to 2v1 the Fiora, and I almost died to Fiora actually, but I barely survived with the help of my lifesteal. As you guys can see here, yeah, the Fiora is incredibly fed. Even though she did die a couple of times recently, she's still incredibly fed. 3 items on Fiora already, and yeah, she's just a menace. So the whole enemy team is dead. Olaf might be on the wrong side, but it doesn't quite matter because you know, me, Ezreal, and Leona can take the dragon by ourselves, as you guys can see here. And the Olaf is pushing the lane on the opposite side, which is a good thing in this case. Caitlyn has somehow gone from being like 0 and 4 and feeding the Fiora to now becoming 6 and 4, which is pretty, you know, pretty unbelievable when you think about it. Here once again with the help of Tristana's bomb, we're gonna destroy the inhibitor, and here the enemy team is just respawning, and now we have to be really careful just to not throw the game here. Here I'm just trying to blast whoever I can with the bomb. I'm flashing out, I'm just blasting Fiora with my auto attacks. Of course I'm level 15 now, so I'm massive range. I'm blasting the Alistar. Gives me the reset to jump in on Corki. I'm trying to blast the Corki. Corki flashes away, and I do end up dying to the Collector. And Corki in this game has Collector somehow. It's killed me twice already, but I do end up dying to Corki's Collector, and we do end up having to back off afterwards. So Fiora, of course, did manage to eventually get an inhibitor, and as a result, we do have a super minion wave, or a couple of super minion waves coming in. Although we did get 2 of their inhibitors instead, the opposite one of the one that she got. Now we're moving into the late stages of the game, where Elder Dragon is spawning. Of course, no Baron has been taken this game yet. And fortunately, I will be alive and in time to walk to the Elder Dragon to contest it. Of course, we do have to be aware of a split pushing Fiora, but honestly, with super minion waves in mid and bot lane, we should be relatively fine. We should have insane pressure to do Elder Dragon because the enemy team does need to respond to those huge waves, otherwise the minions will end the game for us. So in theory, this should be a relatively free Elder Dragon. Of course, it's not free because Pantheon can just ult in and try to steal, but in theory this shouldn't be too difficult to take. Of course, unless your team starts trolling and instead of attacking the Elder Dragon starts walking around looking for a fight. Olaf actually tried to look for a fight. Here he got hit butt into the pit, and he's walking back out of the pit and looking for a fight for some reason, which makes no sense. He should just be here trying to smite the dragon. Thankfully here, he ends up flashing over and smiting the dragon. I really have no idea what I'm witnessing here. And with the help of the Elder Dragon, I'm going to be able to, of course, pick up a couple kills. Can flash over for the Corki. I managed to finish off the Corki with the Elder Dragon. And at this point, that should be game. And of course, we can just push down mid and secure the victory. All 5 members of the enemy team are dead. And there we have it. So hopefully you guys learned and enjoyed from this video. I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.
Victory.